Rhythm game legends Harmonix are back with a brand new IP, taking the main elements of their 2017 electronic card game Drop Mix and adding a splash of ideas from Activision's underrated DJ Hero to create a new music rhythm game called FUSER. The Rock Band developers have ditched any need for any additional plastic peripherals this time around though, and this colourful festival of a game is played entirely on the big screen using just a controller. But what is FUSER, and is it a return to form for Harmonix after a couple of more experimental projects? Let me tell you my thoughts in my review of FUSER on the Nintendo Switch. If you're unfamiliar with Drop Mix, a physical collectible card game combined with an app which Harmonix used to test the waters of the board game realm, then firstly you should try and hunt down a copy as they are fairly cheap, great fun to play and absolutely the work of witchcraftery, but more importantly you should know it's really the backbone of the FUSER game. In Drop Mix you had a runway, for the want of a better word, that you could connect via Bluetooth to your phone, which allowed music to be played out of your iOS or Android device. Then you would take your hand of cards, each featuring an element of a real life popular band and song, and take turns dropping them onto slots on the runway. Each card you dropped would start that element of the card's song playing, so the drums for Run DMC's It's Tricky for example. The next card played would add another element, the vocals or guitar and so on from other songs, with the app matching the key and beat of all the elements together to make a final composition that sounded very listenable. As I say, hunt it down as they're great fun for any age. Anyways, FUSER takes a lot of the central ideas of Drop Mix and turns it into a virtual festival simulation. You start off creating a cartoonish character and dressing them in the most outlandish and depressingly 2020 style possible. It's also fun to hit the randomise button a few times and end up with a shirt wearing flock of seagulls looking overweight man in his underpants like I did. It just felt right to go with that for a game like this. You are then guided towards the game's main career mode via a really slick front end where all the fun begins. A short cutscene introduces you to your first mentor and really sets up the career mode for what it is, and that's an incredibly long tutorial for the main game. You soon realise you've signed up for something much deeper than you were expecting, but more on that later. The early levels are a lovely gentle easing into what FUSER is all about. In front of you are 4 coloured decks, each initially representing 4 different parts of a song. Usually either drums, keyboards, guitar and vocals, although depending on the song this makeup can vary. Along the top of the screen you have your crate of discs represented by the album artwork of the song, which is a nice touch. Moving the slightly sluggish cursor over a song pops up a menu showing the 4 selectable bits of the song, and tapping A, B, X or Y will send your relevant section of the song down to your decks. Like Drop Mix, the idea here is to bring in elements of different songs and let the boffins back at Harmonix HQ work out how they are more often than not seamlessly mixed into something extremely listenable. It's absolutely crazy how these guys do it, but they really are the masters of music manipulation. Yes, you will get some horrific clashes of songs at times, but generally the software engine chugging away under the hood does a spectacular job of matching the key, rhythms, BPMs and vocals of anything you can throw at it, and when it all comes together it's incredibly rewarding. Well, this is all well and good to begin with, but if you're just left to your own devices, as fun as those mechanics are, you would begin to struggle to consistently make mixes, and I'm sure the experience would fall apart somewhat. It's a good thing then that you are very quickly introduced to more layers of mechanics to keep things interesting. Firstly, you are guided on the side of the screen to what elements need to be dropped. This can be very specific, like playing the guitar section from Rage Against the Machine's Killing in the Name, a bit broader like being asked to drop in any keyboard section from any song, or even as vague as play at least 2 country music elements. These requests have a time limit to fulfill, and missing them will cost you some love from the audience. Ah, the audience. Do you remember festivals? The summer of 2020 robbed us of the Glastonbury's and Reading festivals here in the UK, and personally I feel we may never go back to those times of tens of thousands of music fans crammed into a field. FUSER may well be the next best thing then. The crowd in FUSER is your barometer. Miss too many requested elements will see the crowd bar drop, and once it empties it's game over unless you have no foul mode on. Keeping the mix fresh with new parts will help keep the audience interested, but it can get tough very quickly spinning enough plates to keep your audience rating from plummeting. After a while you'll also get specific requests direct from individual audience members asking you to play certain songs or genres too within a much stricter time window to bow to their whims. Things are starting to ramp up in complexity now, and it's not too long before your eyes are darting all over the screen and sensory overload is beginning to take hold. But we're only just getting started. Each chapter of the game is set on a different stage of a festival, and each stage has multiple time slots for you to play. You start off with the 3 men and a dog time slot of early afternoon, and after completing each slot you move an hour ever closer to headlining the show. Your final mix is rated after your performance in the familiar harmonic style out of 5 stars and given a score for an upload to the game's leaderboards. As I said earlier, the career mode really is a long tutorial of how to use every element of FUSER, and each time slot you play will be introducing a new mechanic to the gameplay. You will learn how to drop elements on the right beat to score more points, which later is expanded on itself of how to drop the right instrument into the timeline of a mix, how to change the volume, mute or even eject discs so you can bring the music down before kicking it back in, how to save your current tune, which itself once saved becomes its own disc that you can drop back into a mix. You also get access at a later point to standalone instruments like drum machines and keyboards that you can add into your sets and even create loops from that, yes you guessed it, can be reused and dropped into your mixes. Later still you get the ability to change the BPM and key of mixes independently, and on and on and on it goes. It can get overwhelming, but the constant in the career mode is that guiding hand to the side of the screen which at least points you in the right direction of something that will sound decent. You can also record a snippet of your performance using the in-game tools and then share that on the game's social feed for others to listen to and rate in the game, which is a really cool feature. The game's newsfeed will show the current weekly theme to work to, and the best mixes will be highlighted for ultimate DJ glory. Now this is all fine and dandy of course, but any rhythm game lives and dies by its soundtrack, so let's talk about what's on offer here. You're looking at more than 100 songs with the base game across the full range of genres, with a further 25 available if you go for the £99 premium edition of the game. Seems licensing real music tracks just isn't cheap. But it's also been confirmed more tracks will be released rock band style over the coming months, though whether this will be at the same pace as the rock band songs were released remains to be seen. I've been more than happy with the music library, and I think they've probably taken the approach of there being something for everyone, and whilst each career mode level will have a certain selection of fixed songs that you must include, you are given a lot of freedom of what else to include in your crate, and mixing and matching your crate of songs before each performance is a great feature and allows for plenty of creativity. If you're failing a level and just not feeling it, duck back into your library and mix your crate up and try again. Many of the songs are locked at the beginning of the game and most cost 200 points to release into your library, and a few of them are held behind level caps, but unlocking them is little issue through repeated play and does give you motivation to keep on playing. Levelling up will also see you unlock style points to spend on your character, and you can also unlock special gear by beating levels, scoring certain amount of points and so on. Away from the career mode there is a variety of alternative modes including freestyle, where as the name suggests you can just hit the decks alone or with cross-platform online players and get creative with your mixes. You can even just drop in with 8 others online and watch a performance if you want to get that social distancing party vibe. If you're ready to take your mix to the next level, then there's a battle mode where you can face off against an online opponent and see who can create the strongest mix. Whilst I've been able to play this mode properly due to online being quiet in the review period, it does look like it's a ton of fun and includes a Fortnite style battle pass levelling system where points won will take you up levels to gain rewards. I'll be hitting this mode up on release for sure. In terms of the Switch port, I think Harmonix have knocked it out of the park here. FUSER's presentation is slick with a lovely lag-free interface, minimal loading times all things considered, and no performance issues at all. Okay, the game isn't particularly doing much visually once you're in a mixing session, but still the slightest bit of lag or hitching will throw you off rhythm, and I'm happy to report it's as slick as butter. If you haven't gathered by now, I'm absolutely in love with FUSER. It must be said I'm a huge fan of music games generally, and Rock Band in particular being in the top 3 games of my 35 years of gaming, so this one is going to be right in my wheelhouse. I was constantly surprised by its deep layers of gameplay, and love how with practice you can build up the skills to make a mix that sounds pretty professional, and although pop or dance music is rarely played in our house, I've had the family rocking with my mixes in FUSER on more than one occasion. The feeling of dropping a well-known riff into a song is great. Everyone knows the drum beat to Push It by Salt and Pepper, or the killer guitar hook of Don't Fear the Reaper, and as the game moulds these familiar sounds into an unusual tempo or key, it still feels like you've done something very creative and clever, and most importantly musical. The career mode is set up for repeated plays to achieve 5 stars on each time slot and unlock all the content the game has to offer, and the well thought out social and multiplayer aspects should also add to longevity. How the library evolves over time to keep things fresh remains to be seen, with a premium price of entry here, with the base game alone costing £60 or $60 before you factor in any ongoing DLC. I can see it can be off-putting for some, but as someone who owns over 600 Rock Band DLC songs, I'm in no position to judge. Whoops. For any music game fan, this is a must own. Harmonix have another hit franchise on their hands, and I'm going to be scoring FUSER on the Nintendo Switch a massively deserved 9 out of 10, dropping a few points here and there for a high retail price and the potential for repetitiveness to sink in if you tire of the 100 songs in the base game over time. And there you go. Thanks very much for watching my review of FUSER on the Nintendo Switch. I hope you enjoyed that. Please leave me a comment below if you like the look of this one, and if you like Harmonix games generally. I'd love a Rock Band sort of game on the Switch, if that was ever possible. Rock Band Blitz I think was good on the Vita, was it, or PSP? Certainly on the PlayStation 3. I would love that to come to the Switch, but I doubt that's going to happen. If you did enjoy the review, please give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment below as I say, and please subscribe if you're new. But all that's left for me to say is thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Cheers guys, bye bye.